This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, friends. In this Business Intelligence Master Program, in today's session, we are going to see how to load data from on-premise SQL Server to the Azure SQL database. Yesterday, we have seen how you can load data from on-premise SQL Server to the data lake storage Gen 2. Today, we are going to see how to load data from on-premise SQL Server to the Azure SQL database. Okay. So in today's session, we will learn the scenarios, then what is integration runtime and types. Again, we need to go through this because today we are going to use what type of IR we need to use, friends. Self-hosted integration runtime we need to use. Next, what is self-hosted IR? We are going to see what is the on-premise SQL Server and how to set up this particular thing. We are going to see next estimations. So how many pipelines, how many data sets, linked service we need, we are going to estimate. Then prerequisites. Okay, what are the prerequisites we need to understand this session? We are going to discuss. Then required resources. What are the required resources we need for this particular session? We are going to discuss. Next demo, we will see how to set up on-premise SQL Server. Yesterday we set up this SQL Server, right? We are going to see again today how to set up on-premise SQL Server, then how to create Azure SQL database, install self-hosted IR. Okay, we need to install the self-hosted IR that we have done yesterday. We will do again. Create Azure SQL, like Azure Data Factory, then create Azure DB, Azure SQL DB linked service with keyword using integration runtime. That is what type of integration runtime we need to use in this linked service, self-hosted integration runtime. Then create SQL Server linked service with keyword, okay, using integration runtime. Here Azure SQL DB you can connect by using Azure integration runtime or self-hosted integration runtime. But if it is SQL Server, you need to use the self-hosted integration runtime. Azure IR will not work here because your SQL Server is available in a private network. Next, we need to create data sets, pipelines, and we can run pipeline with a trigger. What type of trigger we are going to use? Schedule trigger, but because it is little bit easy, quickly we can able to create trigger. But other triggers also you can use, but you need to wait. If it is a tumbling window, at least you need to wait for some 5 minutes and all those things to see the next window. Next, monitor pipeline. Once we run the pipeline, we will monitor pipeline. So let's see the scenarios. Today we are going to see copying multiple tables from on-premise SQL Server to the Azure SQL database. How you can copy multiple tables from on-premise SQL Server to the Azure SQL database. Then we are going to see setting up self-hosted integration runtime, setting on-premise SQL Server, how you can set up the on-premise SQL Server, connect to on-premise SQL Server from Azure SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, we have seen Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio we are using to connect to the SQL Server or Azure SQL database. Both the things you can able to connect from the single tool. Next, connect to cloud from on-premise using ADF key or register IR with key. So yesterday we have done, now we have done, right, how you can register your self-hosted integration runtime with your key. So we are going to do same thing. Next, we are going to handle failure scenario. Failure scenario means if at all some pipe, like some table you are copying 5 tables, one table is failed. When I run pipeline second time, it should pick only the failed table and it should rerun that particular table, but I don't want to run all the tables again. So we are going to see how to handle failure scenarios. Next, how to load only failure tables from the second execution. So from second execution, it should pick only the failure tables instead of picking all the tables. Okay, next, how to maintain query. It's nothing but a queries and metadata, update, stored procedures. So here you remember how to maintain query is nothing but a metadata information, right? So this metadata information, you can maintain it in on-premise or you can maintain it in a Azure SQL database, friends. Okay, remember. So the reason here is in interview, people will ask why you are maintaining metadata in on-premise. Okay, if you are saying we are maintaining metadata in on-premise, people will ask why you are maintaining metadata in on-premise, why not Azure? Okay, so likewise people will ask, so you need to be ready to answer anything. Okay, so you need to understand how to maintain metadata. This metadata you can maintain in a on-premise or Azure. So you have to be confident on your answer. So you should not say we have maintained, we have not maintained there, we maintain in on-premise. Again, second time you say, yeah, we have not maintained in on-premise, we maintain in Azure only. So don't change your mind, because mostly we will maintain metadata in the cloud itself. Okay, we won't maintain metadata in on-premise, so mostly we will maintain metadata in a on-premise itself. But if interviewer asked why you have maintained metadata in your cloud, why not on-premise SQL Server, then you can tell that yes, you can able to maintain metadata in on-premise also, but if you look at the cloud, so cloud services are guaranteed that the high availability, right? So that's why we are going with the Azure, like within the cloud we are maintaining the metadata. That's how you can able to answer. Okay, fine. Now we'll see what is integration runtime. So yesterday we discussed the integration runtime is the compute infrastructure used by Azure Data Factory to provide data integration capabilities across different network environment. What are the different network environments we have? Private network, public network. Okay, that is nothing but on-premise, cloud. All these are the different networks. So you need to connect to the different networks. For that, we need some compute infrastructure. We are going to use this compute infrastructure, right? Next, an integration runtime specifies what kind of hardware is used to execute activities, where this hardware is physically located, who owns and maintains the hardware, which data store and services the hardware can connect to. So if you are using the self-hosted integration runtime, the hardware, everything will be maintained by user, whoever is client. We need to maintain that, and this particular server, this particular infrastructure hardware will be there in our location. Okay, remember, if it is Azure IR, it will be there in a data center, and everything will be managed by Microsoft. You specify which integration runtime to use in each linked service. How to specify, as we discussed, this is the integration runtime option. You go to manage, your integration runtime option will have. By default, we can see auto resolve integration runtime. You will have, that is the Azure type. The type is Azure. Next, where we will use this linked service in a linked where we will use this particular IR in linked services. Here you can see connect via integration runtime. Here we are going to use the IR. Next, different types of integration runtimes. We have Data Factory offers 3 types of IRs. You should choose the type that best serves data integration capabilities and network needs you are looking for. There are 3 types, as we know: Azure, self-hosted, and Azure SSIS. Azure IR you are going to use whenever you are moving data within the cloud. Self-hosted you need to use whenever you are moving data from on-premise to cloud or cloud to on-premise. Both I have shown you with self-hosted. Azure SSIS you need to use whenever you want to execute SSIS packages from Azure Data Factory. Okay. Next, self-hosted integration runtime. So let's talk more about self-hosted integration runtime, the capabilities of self-hosted integration runtime. Self-hosted integration runtime use infrastructure and hardware managed by you. So we are going to manage. And next, you take care of all the installation, maintenance, patching, scaling, but you also pay for the time you use it with Azure Data Factory. Yesterday we have seen installation and registering, everything, maintenance, installation, everything we have taken care. Next, self-hosted integration runtime can access resources in both public and private network. As I mentioned in our earlier slide also, you can use self-hosted IR to move data within the cloud as well. But mostly we will go with the Azure IR. The reason is Azure IR we are not going to maintain. Everything is maintained by Microsoft. So if the Microsoft is maintaining something, so we are like leaving some kind of a headache to the Microsoft, and we can more focus on our business. That's why we need to use Azure IR wherever we can able to use, and wherever it is not possible, we need to go with the self-hosted IR. Next, self-hosted integration runtime works like a gateway. You install the integration runtime on a mission inside private network. Okay, yesterday we have created a virtual machine. Inside virtual machine we have created install the IR. Then it can communicate with the Azure Data Factory. It will not communicate with the Azure Data Factory directly. You need to register your IR with the Azure Data Factory key. Then it can able to communicate with the Azure Data Factory. Okay, fine. So you see overview diagram. Yesterday we have seen. So this is on-premise, this is cloud. From on-premise to cloud, whenever you are moving data, or cloud to on-premise, whenever you are moving data, vice versa. So you need to use the self-hosted IR. Next, whenever you are moving data within the cloud, Azure, whenever you want to export some SSIS packages from the cloud, SSIS IR, here you see integration runtime. Okay, integration runtime, self-hosted IR we have. Okay, yesterday we have seen we created the virtual machine. From virtual machine we connected to the cloud services. How we have done? So integration runtime, self-hosted integration runtime we have installed here. We have installed here, friends. inside the virtual machine we have installed this. Okay, everybody is having same issue, friends. Some people are saying screen is
Yeah,
not
Malay.
syncing.
I am also facing the same issues in starting of the class, but I thought that all are able to it's reflecting properly.
Same issue, sir.
I don't have better network than this. Is it fine now or still you are having same issue?
Malay, whenever you are means moving the screen, at that time we will come to know whether it is reflecting properly or not.
Now are you able to see setting up on-premise to cloud connection? I just moved to the another slide.
No, Malay.
Let me just stop sharing and let me reshare. Is it fine now? See now once, let's test it. Are you able to see the screen?
We are seeing the screen like a setting up on-premise to the cloud connection.
I'm just moving, setting up on-premise to cloud connection. Which slide I am now?
You're showing same screen, Malaya.
Is it fine now, friends? I am at the overview diagram. I just explained this. Let me just move on. So setting up on-premise to cloud connection, friends. So let's see here, we have a on-premise. Okay. So then in on-premise, from on-premise, I need to move data into the cloud. Okay. So in on-premise, said what resource we have? We have a SQL server. This SQL server I will maintain within the VM. Okay, I will just maintain the SQL server. Then I will install the integration runtime, because you cannot connect to the SQL server directly from the cloud. So for that, we need to have a self-hosted integration runtime. So I will install the integration runtime. Then I will register IR with the cloud key. I will register IR with the cloud key. So you will see how to register IR with cloud key. Then, so yesterday also we have seen how to register IR with cloud key. Then we have a, like, I will create the Azure Data Factory in the cloud. From Azure Data Factory, you will take the key. With the help of that key, you will connect to the your on-premise. Okay, once you connect, what I will have is in my, like in cloud, I will create the Azure SQL database. So I want to copy data from on-premise SQL server to the Azure SQL database. You understood, friends? Everybody's clear now? Screen is fine now?
Yeah, it's fine now, Malaya.
Fine, sir.
Okay. Yeah, let me just move on now. Data flow diagram, you can see it's a multiple table. So I will have a lookup. In lookup, I will create a data set to reference to metadata table. In my result, I will get source and sink, source side cust, and the sink side also. Let's say I want to create a same table, cust. Source side I have EMP, sync side also I want to create same table EMP. Source side I have a sales, sync side I want to create a same table called sales. Source side I have order, same table I want to create at the sync side, that is order. Meaning whatever table names I have in source side, SQL Server side, I want to create same table. So I will keep all this information in my metadata table. When I read my metadata table by using lookup activity, I will get all these results. Okay, now, so this result I will pass it to the for each activity. So how you will pass it, you know, at the rate activity of lookup dot output dot value. I have shown you in detail this one. Then I will get all these 4 items. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 items I have. Now inside for each I will use the get metadata activity. This get metadata activity is basically dynamically data set to check dynamic data set to check table existed or not. So first you will pass cust, check whether it is available or not. Next check EMP whether it is available or not. Then say key equal to exists. Key equal to exists means whether this table is available or not. You are asking by using this particular field list called exist. If the table is available, this exist parameter returns true. If this particular table is not available, exist parameter returns false. Now this particular condition you are checking in if activity at the rate equals activity of metadata dot output dot exists, okay, comma true. So if this exist parameter returned true, the overall if condition evaluates to true. If this exist parameter returned false, this if condition evaluates to false. Now you see you have a true and false. If this condition evaluates to true, if condition evaluates to true, then you will execute the true activities. In true, I will have a copy activity. Then I will also use success stored procedure and failure stored procedure. If the copy activity succeeded, then I will execute a success stored procedure. If copy activity is failed, I will execute a failure stored procedure. What this success stored procedure and failure stored procedure will do is it will go and update in a metadata table saying that status is succeeded for this particular table. Status is succeeded. It will update. Okay, because not only source and sync, here I will also maintain the status, inactive tables. So I will have a multiple column names. I just mentioned the important column names here, but in metadata I will have a multiple column names. Next, if this is a false, I will just execute wait activity. You know, if it is a false or something, what else you can do? So you can do, or you can execute some other stored procedure to inactivate this table, something like that you can able to do. Fine. Now let's say first item I will pass it the get metadata. It will check whether it is available or not. If it is exist or not, so that result it will send it to the if activity. If activity will check again. If exist returned true, the overall condition evaluates to true. Okay. Then I will execute the copy activity inside true condition. Okay. Now I will pass another table and I will just pass it to this condition. If this condition returns true, then I will execute true. But if this condition returns false, I need to execute a false condition. Let's say I will receive my third table, that is sales table. That sales table is existed or not, it will check. Let's say it is returned true. I will pass that value to this if condition. If condition also evaluates to true if this exist parameter returned true. Then I will execute the again copy activity. Inside this, if copy activity succeeded, I will execute the success stored procedure. Then finally I will take fourth table, that is order table. That order table details I will pass it to the if activity. If activity is evaluated to false, then I will execute the wait activity. If it is returned the true, then I will execute the true activities. Okay, so something like that I am going to design my pipeline. Remember, next, copy data from on-premise SQL Server to the Azure SQL database. As you know, you will have an on-premise SQL Server. Inside that, you will create a databases. Yesterday, we have seen you can create multiple databases by using query or UI. Then inside that, I will create some custom table. Let's imagine we have a one table. This one table, I need to move it into the Azure SQL Server. Inside that, I want to move it inside Azure SQL database. First, you need to connect to the on-premise SQL Server. Then create a input data set. Use copy activity to copy data. Then once you are using copy activity, you need to select input data set and output data set. Input data set refers what data you need to read. Output data set refers where you want to load this output data. then use again linker service to connect to the Azure SQL database, because whatever, if you want to write some data by using output data set into Azure SQL database, first you need to connect. That's why I'm connecting. So so once I execute this particular thing, I can able to see this particular custom table loaded into the Azure SQL database from on-premise SQL Server. All these things will be done by your self-hosted integration runtime. All these things maintained by Azure Data Factory, as you know. Okay. Source tables. How to create source table? EMP. I will have employee name and salary, product ID, product name. Next, customer ID, customer location, customer table. Sales table will have sales ID, store name. Next, orders table will have order ID and order. Next, I will insert some records. So how to insert? Insert into EMP values Rama 1000, Krishna 2000. So these two records I will insert into EMP table. Next, product values 111, laptop 222, mobile. So these two records I will insert into product table, customer table. One Bangalore, two Chennai. These two records I will insert into customer table. Sales table I will insert these two. Then orders table, these two records I will insert into the orders table. Okay, clear? So you already know how to create table, how you can insert records into that. Okay, metadata table, create table metadata, source table, destination table, disable and status. You have a total 4 columns. Okay, now I want to insert some records. Insert into metadata. Values are EMP output 0 and ready. What it means? Source table is EMP. My destination table is EMP output. Disable is 0 because what I wanted to do. Disable is 0 means this table is not disabled. Disable equal to 1 means this table is disabled, or you can say inactive. This table is inactive, not active currently. Next, status is ready to execute, meaning it is not loaded data. Next, so second record, product output 0 ready. So this is also active table and it is ready to load. This is also like ready to load. This is not ready to load, so ready, but it's a inactive table. Sales table is inactive. Next, orders output 0 ready. So 0 is nothing but a, again it's a active table. Okay, ready is nothing but what, friends? It's a ready to execute. This table we can able to load the data. Okay, fine. We'll see stored procedure. Create procedure name @status @table name as begin and end. So what I am doing by using this stored procedure, I am updating the status. Update metadata table. In metadata table I want to update status, and then I want to update status against what table? I need to pass the source table. Where source table equal to @table name. So I need to pass the source table name and I need to pass the @status. So here you will have a source table name. Then here you need to pass the status. Example, for EMP table is successfully loaded. Pass the table name equal source table name equal to EMP. Status is succeeded. If the table is failed, so just pass the which table, status is failed. Those two values I will pass dynamically to my stored procedure. You understood? Next, estimations. You know how many linked service for each on-premise SQL server, one linked service is required in ADF-E2. For each Azure SQL DB, one linked service is required. I need total 2 linked service. Depends on reference points. We need to create data sets. How many activities? One copy activity is required to copy data from SQL server to Azure SQL database. But if you want to iterate through multiple tables, then you need to use lookup for each all those things, as you know. How many pipelines? One pipeline I will use. What type of IR we are going to use to copy data from SQL server to Azure SQL DB is self-hosted integration runtime. Next, prerequisite. What is Azure SQL DB? What is SQL server? Keyword, schedule trigger, Azure Data Factory integration runtime and types, linked server data set, activities and pipelines. So all these things we discussed in detail. So this all you should aware to understand today's session. Required resources are SQL Server, Azure SQL DB, Key Vault, and the Azure Data Factory V2. These are the services that I'm going to create. Okay, let's quickly go and do the demo. But before I go and start demo, any questions, friends? Okay, fine, friends. Let me just go to the virtual machines now. Let's click on virtual machines. Okay, click add to create the virtual machine. Click virtual machines. You see, I am using the free trial. Just click create resource group. You can see here Cloud Pandit BA master program. Click OK. Then virtual machine name you need to give Cloud Pandit VM. Okay, it's a Cloud Pandit VM, you can say. In this, basically, we will have both SQL Server and we are going to create the Windows VM. Both will come at once. Now, this is the East to West location. I'm selecting image. This is important. So, based on this image, you will get what services you need within the particular VM. Just click on Browse Public and Private Images. Okay, now it is selecting an image. Here we can able to search, right? So what we can do, I will just search with SQL Server. SQL Server 2019. Just search here, you see SQL Server 2017 on Windows Server 2019. Yeah, so this also will work. So you just select this, click select. So here you see you have different things. SQL Server 2017, Enterprise Windows Server 2019. Just click on that. So that particular image it will select. Now you see the image size is 2 CPUs and 8 GB memory, and username, let me type here. This is the username. So these are the Windows credentials. To connect to the VM or to connect to the SQL Server, you can use these particular credentials. Okay. Next, port RDP 3389 I need to use whenever I want to connect to the VM. Password is not same. Here click disk, networking, management. Let it be everything default. Okay, advanced. SQL Server. So in SQL Server, we just have to enable the SQL authentication. Let me enter the separate username and password for this. It's a Cloud Pandit admin. This is the username. Password is same for both the logins. So this is the separate credentials I'm setting up for the SQL authentication. Okay, just click review plus create. So how much I'm going to pay per hour? 12 rupees. Okay. Create it. Okay. This is how we need to create the virtual machine. Inside that we will have a SQL Server also will come. Let's open portal again. Here I will create our target. Where I need to load this data in Azure SQL database. I will go and create Azure SQL database now. Let's click on SQL database. Let's click add to create the SQL database. Proceed with this session. All blockers are coming. Let's go to SQL Server. Create SQL Server separately. Create, right? Let's create a server, Cloud Pandit SQL Server, and the location is East to West. Let's enter username and the password. So SQL Server I'm creating separately. Okay, mail, just keeping username here. Password is there. Click review plus create. Click create. So initializing deployment. So once SQL Server is created, then only you can able to create the SQL database. So when you create subscription, first time you will have these kind of issues. So you may not be able to create the SQL Server directly from the SQL database. On the fly, you cannot create SQL server. This is a temporary issue. So at least one time, if you create SQL server separately, you will not have any issue. Okay, later. Let's open again portal.azure.com. So now you understood, right? I created a VM. Inside VM, we'll have a SQL server that is nothing but on-premise SQL server. Here I'm just created the Azure SQL server. Then once it is available, I can also create the Azure SQL database. Okay, as it is still creating, meanwhile I will create the data factory and other required resources for us. Let's select data factory. Click on data factories. Click add to create the data factories. Free trial resource group is Cloud Pandit VM master program, and it's a Cloud Pandit PDF V2. See, BI ADF V2. Okay, this name also it's not available. Let's give Cloud Pandit BI ADF V2. Let's say on-premise something. This should be available. Yes, it is available. Git configuration. Let's say configure git later. Click review plus create. Running final validation. Okay, let's create it. Now let's go to the next tab. Let's open here portal.azure.com. So what all I have created VM. Inside VM we'll have a SQL server, we know, and the SQL server is available. So let's create this. Let's click on Azure Data Studio. Let's open Azure Data Studio. Once you are here, what you need to do, you need to connect to the SQL server. Just click here. So it is giving some like connection information, right? Come to SQL server. See, I'm at SQL server. First thing that we need to do is in these options, you see firewall and virtual network. Click on that. Add client IP, turn on Azure services to connect to the server. Click save. So I saved these changes. Now go to overview. So this is the server name. Copy this server name. Go here. Let's paste this. So what kind of authentication? SQL authentication. I will just say username. I will give password. Database we have not created, so I will go with the default. Just click connect. Okay, now I connected to the server. So if you expand, you will not have any databases. Okay, so I will not have any databases. I will have master database, that you know, right? So we'll have a master database, but we will not have any other database. See, you just click on databases. That is expanding. Let's wait. System databases. This system databases is nothing but you will have a master database, right? So but you don't have your own database. Now click on this server, right click on server, click new query. So I will just create a database, something like this. Create database Cloud Pandit SQL DB. You can run it. Now let's go to databases and check whether database is created or not. Come here, refresh this. Started executing query at line number 1. Still query is executing. I don't know why it is taking this much time. There is an issue with this region, I hope. Yeah, command completed successfully. Now just refresh this. It will come, database should come here. Just expand this. Right click on databases, click on database. Yeah, Cloud Pandit SQL DB is created, but that should be available here as well. It should come here. Oh, it is not coming. Okay, let's wait some more time. Let's do one thing. Click on SQL database once again. That should come. See, Cloud Pandit SQL DB. It came or not? Yes, it came. So default it will go with 10 DTUs. As you know, the default values it will take. Okay, you understood, friends? Fine. So now somehow we were able to create the database, even though it is not supporting from the portal. We have created from the tools, right? Next, come to Data Factory. Data Factory is also available. What else you need to create now? What else we need to create now? We just have to create the keyword. Let's go to portal.azure.com. Okay, let's search here for keyword. Okay, click on keywords. Let's click add to create the keywords. Resource group is this the one, and you know the keyword name I will say. Some name I will give. Okay, Cloud Pandit OP EKVCP. Okay, East to West standard. Click access policies. We need to grant the access to our data factory. Click add access policies. Let's grant full access to my data factory. Click selected. So what is your data factory name? So come here to see the data factory name. Just click on this. This is my data factory name. Copy it. Copy the name of data factory. Come here. Select your data factory name here. Then click select. Come down. Click add. Then click review plus create. Running validation. Validation passed, you can create it. Okay, now you see your virtual machine is available. Your Azure SQL database is also available. Your data factory available. Your keywords available. Okay, it will not take much time. Okay, because we are already aware of all those things. So let's quickly develop the pipeline. So first thing that I need to do is I need to connect to the virtual machine. Click on go to resource. How to connect to the virtual machine? Yesterday, as I explained, open your remote desktop connection here. take public IP. Let me just paste here. You know, username is okay. Let's connect. It will ask me to enter username and password. Let me enter username and password here. Click OK. So I just click OK. Then I'm able to connect to the virtual machine. So it is connecting to the virtual machine. So you know, inside virtual machine, we have a SSMS tool, SQL Server, everything. We can connect to the SQL Server. Let's create all the required tables. So server manager, yesterday I have explained something, right? So what is server manager? In this server manager, you need to do one thing, that is you need to turn off these some security things, otherwise some pop-ups will keep coming. Okay, so example, let me show you what pop-ups. Just open Internet Explorer. Okay, now let's say, see here, okay, this is the common one, ask me later. Now you see, I will just browse it to the download integration runtime. So I'll just search it something like that. Now you see pop-ups will come, security alert. Okay, click OK. See, like this, lot of pop-ups will come. Okay, you need to add it, close it. Then another pop-up will come. See, something like that. It is keep on. Okay, it will keep coming. See something. Even if you close it, so keep coming. So to avoid these kind of things, go to server, local server. Go to local server. You need to turn off the security things. Okay, just click IE enhanced security configuration, turn off this, then click OK. Just close this local server settings. Now you just close it, it will not come from now. Just close these things. Yeah, from now at least it will not come. Now just go to download. See here, create a self-hosted integration runtime. We have a download Azure Data Factory integration runtimes from. Just click on this. So yesterday I have given you some information, right? How you can get the download link directly from the Azure Data Factory. Otherwise, you can search from the Google directly. Click download. Pop-ups will keep coming because I have not turned off at the beginning. Fine. So from here, see here, what type of IR you want. So here, so we have 5.0 and 5.15. Which IR you want, you need to select. Let's say this is the latest IR, which is 5.0.7632. Okay, this is the one which is trying to download. Just when you say run, so it will download and it will start installing. Both will happen once you click run. Save means it is just to download and save it somewhere. Installation will not start. Just click run to start the installation after download. See here, you can say able to see the downloads, how quickly download is happening. I think here 0%. I think it's not started. So that percentile it has not shown, but it is I think it's downloaded. Now it is running the final security scan and it will start installing now. See, installation is started. Click next. So I accept the terms and the license agreement. Next, install. So now what is happening, your self-hosted integration runtime is installing. So meanwhile it installed, I need to get the Azure Data Factory key to register here. Okay, come to Azure Data Factory, click offline monitor. Now just click on manage tab. Then you can see integration runtime. Click on integration runtime, click new. So what type of IR you want? Self-hosted, select, click continue. So I want self-hosted, select, continue. This is, you can say, cloud funded self-hosted. Okay. Self-hosted, just click create. Once it is created, you see there will be two keys generated, so you can take any key to register. Okay, now let's say I just copied, then click close. After close, you see it's a unavailable. Refresh, it will be unavailable until you register with that self-hosted IR. So it is still installing. Once the installation is finished, I will just provide this key to register. Okay. Installation is finished. Just click finish. So you need to register with the key. I already copied the key. I will just paste it. Then click register. Click finish. So please wait. This may take a few seconds. Okay, it is going to take a few seconds. Let's wait. Click launch configuration manager. So you see self-hosted node is connected to the cloud services. Now let's go back to our Azure Data Factory. Refresh this. You will see this will running now. Okay, let's quickly go to the VM again. Let's open here SQL Server Management Studio. That is nothing but SSMS tool. All these are little bit slow because these are heavy, like heavy tools. Okay, so it will take some time. Meanwhile, I will just tell you. See, these are the things that I have already. So I'll quickly create all these 5 tables. Then I will insert these 5 records into it. Then you see I have a metadata table that I'm going to create. Then I will insert these records into the metadata table. Then finally, I am going to do one more thing, that is I will basically create this stored procedure, which is going to update the status whenever copy activity is succeeded. Fine, let's copy all of these at once. Let's go inside VM. So SQL Server Management Studio is opening. You know, yesterday we have seen how you can connect to it, right? Let's see. Okay, so let's see. This is the my server name, Cloud Pandit VM. And there are two ways to connect: Windows authentication and SQL authentication. If it is Windows authentication, username is Malaya. If it is a SQL authentication, username is going to be Cloud Pandit admin, and password is going to be something which I will give you. 1 second, let me just check once again. So let's click connect to the our SQL server. So it's connected to the SQL server. In this we will not have any database. By default we don't have any database. Let's click on new query. Click here to get the new query window. Here I will just fire some query to create the database. Create database Cloud Pandit DB. Okay, execute it. It's created. Now see here you have a master, right? Now if you check this drop down, you will have a Cloud Pandit DB database which you have created. In this database I want to create all these tables. What all things I want to create? I want to create all these 5 tables. Then I want to insert records. Let's do one by one. Let's create these 5 tables. Let me select it. 5 tables completed. Let me comment these 5 lines. Then I will just insert the records into all these 5 tables. Okay, let's execute it. Okay, two records inserted into these 5 tables. Let's comment all these 5 lines. Then come here. Let's create a metadata table and insert these 5 records. Okay, this is also completed. Comment this. Come down. I want to create the stored procedure. Select this, execute it. Okay, comment this. So this is also completed. Now right click on this database, refresh it. Database we have, in this database we should have total all the tables which you have created. You see custom metadata, orders, product, sales, which we have created. Metadata is the main table which we have all metadata information. Go to programmability. Okay, stored procedures. You will see the stored procedure which we have created, metadata underscore USP. We have all this information in my on-premise SQL server. Now this information I need to load it into the cloud. So come here. So in Azure Data Factory, what we need to do, we need to like create the linked services and all those things. Before that, we need to store the passwords in my Azure keyword. I just store the passwords. I won't store all the connection string. Let's go to secrets. Generate/import. So here basically it's a, I will say on-premise SQL server OP on-premise. If it is a SQL server on-premise, username like password is something like this. Click create. So it is on-premise. OP means on-premise. I'll just put the my like Azure SQL password. Azure SQL password. I will keep it here. Okay, just create it. Okay, Azure SQL and SQL Server OP. I have 2 things. Now come to Data Factory. Go to Manage. Let's click New. Sorry, it's not a link. IR we need to create. We need to create the linked service. Go to linked services. Let's click New. First linked service we need to connect to the Azure keyword. So you can say keyword. Select this keyword. Click Continue. This is the LS for Azure keyword. Subscription is this. Azure keyword name is this. Test connection is successful. Then created publisher. So you need to use this particular Azure keyword in other linked service. So first you need to create a linked service for your Azure keyword, then you need to publish it. Once you publish, then we can able to use this. Okay, let's see now. Let's click new linked service again. So now I need to connect to the SQL server, on-premise SQL server. Just select SQL server, click continue. So this is LS SQL server on-premise OP. So we are not going to use auto resolve. We need to use a Cloud Pandit self-hosted here. Server name is, you see here, server name is Cloud Pandit VM. My database name, you remember, I just created a Cloud Pandit DB. SQL authentication is going to be my SQL authentication is Cloud Pandit admin, right? Next, Key Vault. From Key Vault, I need to read the password. I already have the linked service for Key Vault. Secret name is SQL Server OP on premise. Let's test the connection. Connection successful. You can create it. Okay, in the same way, I need to create the another connection. Let's say my another connection is basically for SQL database, Azure SQL database. Continue. This is ls Azure SQL DB. Through auto resolve integration, and I'm connecting by using free trial. Server name this, and see this is within the cloud. That's why it is showing the drop down and it is listing all the servers and databases which are available. So username for my cloud services, and password I need to read it from Azure keyword. Let's read password from Azure keyword. Secret name, what is the secret name? Secret name is Azure SQL. Put Azure SQL here. Let's test the connection. Connection successful, you can create it. Now go to author tab, click on author. Let's create the pipeline. Okay, so like I will just, let's go with the default names because we will not have much time today. Let's go with the default, and first activity is lookup activity. Just bring the lookup activity here. So what lookup activity is going to do? So lookup is going to look up on the metadata table to read the data, right? So this is basically our metadata is available where, friends? I am maintaining metadata in my on-premise. So connect to the on-premise. This is DS4 lookup. Okay. Use this. This is the linked service and the table name. You can see we have a all table list. It will show you. But the thing is, what you need to understand, I'm going to fire a query. I'm not going to select metadata table. I will fire a query. So that's why I'm not selecting table. Click OK. What is the query you need to fire? You remember we have a metadata table. Select star from metadata. So when you have select star from metadata, come down, uncheck this first row only. Otherwise, it will give only one row as a result. Click preview data. It is going to show all the records which you have. But in this, I want to filter out one record. That is, wherever we have a disable equal to 1, such type of record I want to filter out. I don't want to read the sales record. I want to filter out. How you can do that? So you just have to say where disable equal to 0. Let's review. Okay, now you see the data EMP output 0 ready. So you are getting only the tables which are active. Okay, this list I need to pass it to for each. Bring the for each activity here. Pass this lookup details to for each. How you will pass it? Click on settings, sequence. I want to go sequence. Click add dynamic content. Lookup dot output dot value. Okay, so you know value you need to pass. Go inside for each. Let's bring get metadata activity. So data set, you just use the no. So let's create a 1 second. You can use the same data set because this data set is basically points to your on-premise SQL server, right? So you can able to use the same data set. Click new. So in this data set, what you need to do? Okay, let's create a new data set. Why we need to have a confusion? Let's have a new data set. This is also for SQL server because we need to check whether table is existed or not in the SQL server. Continue. This is, you can say, DS for get metadata. Okay, use the linked service. This one. Table name I need to pass it dynamically. That is nothing but I need to create data set parameter. Let's see how to create data set parameter. Go to data sets, click on get metadata data set, click parameter. I need to take only one parameter, that is source table name. Come to connection, click edit. Schema name is default DBO, and table name I need to pass it dynamically, that is through the dataset parameter. Click finish, go to pipeline. See, it is waiting to receive the value. This value we need to pass it from the lookup. How will pass from lookup? Item dot. So yeah, let's do one thing. Let's create a breakpoint up to lookup. Let's execute lookup because this is important to get some details. In progress. It will execute now. It's executed. Okay, now you see the output. These are the values. Okay, these are each item. This is one item, right? So in this, see, this is a one item. This is one item. This is another item. This is another item. You know. Now I need to pass the source table name. Then I need to say @item dot source table name. So I will go inside this. I'll just say item dot source table. So what you want to do by using get metadata, you want to check whether table exists or not. Just select exists. This is a get metadata. Then you need to check this result in a if activity. Bring the if condition. Pass it this output. Come here in this condition add dynamic. Just say get metadata dot output dot exists. That's all. I am not checking. So this exist parameter return to true if condition evaluates to true. If this condition return false, if condition evaluates to false. If it is a false, I'm not doing anything. If it is a true, go inside true. Let's bring the copy activity. Copy data. So source data set, I will just select same get metadata will work here because so same thing I need to do here also. I need to select the table @item name dot table source table. So if I pass this table, I will go and read the particular table. Then what I need to do, that particular table data, I want to load it into my target. My target is what? SQL database. Let's select a SQL database. Select Azure SQL database. Continue. This is DS for Azure SQL DB. Use the linked service. Then don't select table because table name we need to pass dynamically. Click OK. So how will pass dynamically? Click data set again. Click parameters. You need to say here sync table. So this sync table, this sync table I need to select here. So this should be a DB only. And the sync table I will select here. This is the sync table. Click finish. Okay. Now come back to the pipeline. You see sync side also I need to select the sync table. What is the sync table name? So in this item, you see your sync table name is destination. For EMP output it should create. Okay. So this is my destination. If copy activity succeeded or failed, I need to call the stored procedure. So bring the stored procedure activity. The stored procedure, if it is a succeeded, I will call a success stored procedure. Come here, you can say this is a which you need to connect to the on-premise linked service. So I'm just connecting to the on-premise and stored procedure. I have a metadata underscore USB. Let's import parameters which is required. So for this, I need to pass two information. One is my status, second one is table name. If it is a succeeded, then I will simply say success. I will just output the value. If it is a failed, a success, and for which table, if it is a particular EMP table is successfully loaded, I need to send a success status, and for table name it's a EMP. I will say source table name I need to pass here. I will say add dynamic content from this. I directly say @item dot source table name. Okay, @item dot source table. Click finish. You understood? Now I am just sending the status as success, and the table name I am saying @item dot source table. So let's say for each as given EMP table. That EMP table I will copy. If the successfully copied, then I will say EMP table status is succeed. I will update something like that. Same stored procedure I need to call one more time. If it is a failure, in failure case I need to call this stored procedure. This basically f_sp. Come to settings, select on-premise SQL server. Here we have a same stored procedure I am going to call, but this time I'm going to send the status as failed. So you know dynamically how you can send the status, right? The right activity dot status. So here you can say status. Let's say I want to send dynamically. I don't want to send it something like this. I want to send it dynamically. We have to say status. Okay, otherwise you just put it for now failed. Okay. Instead of confusing, just put fail status, and for which table? Table name, you know, @item dot source table name you need to say. Same thing. Okay. This is how I have built the pipeline. Now when I debug, you know, all pipelines are going, like all 4 tables will succeed. Okay. Now all 4 pipelines will succeed, like all 4 tables will successfully loaded into the target. We'll see that. So lookup is executing. Let me explain from the output. Lookup is executing. So you see lookup has given all these items, okay, to the for each is started executing one by one activity. So first for each has passed EMP table and get metadata returned EMP is exist true. If condition evaluates to true, that's why it is executing copy activity. Once copy activity is finished, it is going to execute the success stored procedure. If the copy activity is successfully executed, refresh this. See, copy activity has failed, so it is going to execute a failure stored procedure. The copy activity is failed, it is going to execute a failure stored procedure. But what is the reason for copy activity to fail? Let's click on this error to get the more. I think wrongly we mapped the copy activity. Go inside a true copy activity. Item dot Azure SQL DB. This is the destination. This is correct. Oh, what we need to do, we don't have these tables, right? We don't have these tables. We need to say auto create. This option we need to select because we need to create these tables automatically. That's why all tables are going to fail now. That's okay. We explored one more scenario. Okay, that's okay. Just this. 1 second. See, you just click on this. See, like all copy activities are going to fail ultimately, and all failure stored processes are going to execute. Okay, let's refresh this. I think it should be completed by now. Data will not load. Data will not load it into our Azure SQL database now because everything is failing. When it is failed, we will check the. This is our cloud database, right? Go inside VM. Here I want to check the metadata table status. Select star from metadata. Execute. You see the status will be failed. Okay, so everything is a failed. You understood? Everything is a failed. Okay, so now what I will do, I will take all the tables which are failed. I will take all the tables which are failed. Now you see. Let's execute. I think this table, anyhow this table will not execute because it's a inactive table. This table also will execute and it will fail. So ultimately, and this will give you result as a failed only. So this is also failed. So successfully all these 4 tables got failed. Now I have changed my configuration to auto create table. Now when I rerun pipeline should run successfully. Okay. Now in for each also I will say batch count. okay, because I don't want to execute sequentially. If it is sequential, it will take more time. Let's click debug now. So it should finish quickly. See, 4 get metadata is executing at once because it's a parallel now. It's a batch, right? So it's not executing one by one. It is executing everything at once now. Like, yeah. So like 3 copy activities is started. It should finish. It should create now. It should be successful this time. Okay. Yes. See, I think get metadata is finished. Copy activities are succeeded, right? So almost all the copy activities got succeeded now. Now you come to Azure Data Studio. Now this is the database which we have created in cloud. Right click on this, click refresh. Now let's check the tables list which we have under this database. Click tables. Cost output, EMP output, orders output, product output. See, you have all the 4 tables. Let's select one table one by one and we'll see result came or not. Select star from. Let's take only one table, EMP output and execute it. Sorry, you should select everything. Okay, if you select one thing, it will think that what happened. EMP output spelling correct, invalid object. How come it is invalid object? Oh, we are in a master database. We need to change it to cloud SQL DB. This is the database. Run it. Now you see the data will come. 2 records we have in EMP table. Those 2 records will come here. Okay, employee ID and employee salary. There are 2 columns. Those 2 columns data should come here. It's like some issue with Azure services today, so it's very slow. See, employee name and employee salary, employee name and employee salary, we are able to get it. Now if you go to VM, so here what I wanted to do, you can check select star from metadata and run it. You see the status is success now. You understood? Clear, friends? Everybody's clear on this? Okay, don't worry. So same thing we are going to discuss tomorrow with Azure Synapse, Azure Data Warehouse. Okay, not with Azure SQL Database. So how to load data directly from on-prem SQL Server to the Azure Synapse with Polybase tomorrow we are going to discuss. Okay, don't worry. So you will be able to understand tomorrow in detail, even if you have some confusion, because there are a lot of issues today with respect to Azure resources. There's some like some network issue at the beginning, then other things, right? So don't worry, everything will be covered once again. Okay, tomorrow. Thank you all. Thank you.